What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. So over the last couple of days, we know that Call of Duty has sort of been struggling, but we just didn't know how bad it was. We saw that Call of Duty issued a whole apology. They said that they know they made mistakes. They know that the player base is not very happy, and they want to sort of keep everyone happy, and they're like promising that they're going to make some changes. For example, no more back-to-back Call of Duty titles, so no Black Ops 6 and 7 anymore, no MW2 and Modern Warfare 3 anymore, and they're going to go back to the same rotation they used to go. So you'll get Infinity Ward with their game for 1 year, then you'll have Treyarch the next year, then you'll have Sledgehammer the next year, and that's sort of what they promised. And many of you guys are probably wondering, why is Call of Duty finally starting to talk now when they were super silent during BO6, when people were actually complaining and the game wasn't doing that good? Well, because it looks like their financials have been hit, and this year they sort of kept it silent, so we haven't really seen them publicly address or mention anything about their sales compared to BO6. But GameIndustry.biz created a post, and they gave us a lot of information about why Call of Duty and Activision are sort of panicking right now and what the reason for that is. So they said Activision to change release strategy for Call of Duty as new data suggests player count has halved in 12 months. Data from Alinea Analytics indicates Black Ops 7 sold 401,000 units over launch compared to 2.3 million for Black Ops 6. VGI data suggests that 50% year drop for the franchise. So the game did not sell as well as it did for BO6, Black Ops 7, even though it is safe to say that Black Ops 7 blows BO6 out of the water and is better in every shape, way, and form. The amount of content they're giving us, the weapons, the updates that they're dropping, the seasonal content, everything is just way better than what we saw with Black Ops 6. Now, despite that, people are not very happy. Now, here's some proof of that. So it says right here, the first show off the Steam numbers, which usually I don't like to talk about Steam numbers, but in this case, it does make sense. So they said the Steam numbers show a drop in launch versus what we saw in MW2, and it underperformed each recent 3 titles by a wide margin. So usually when you like compare Battlefield to Call of Duty and you use Steam numbers, it doesn't make sense because Steam number is the best number for Battlefield while it's the worst for Call of Duty. But when you're comparing apples to apples and you're comparing Call of Duty titles to other Call of Duty titles on the same exact platform, you get a better idea. So for example, MW2 saw a peak of 500,000 and then it slowly dropped. MW3 came out, it peaked at around like 200,000, then BO6 hype came around, and then that peaked at around like 300 to 350, and then now we saw the peak of Black Ops 7, and it barely got to 100,000. So as you can see here, the numbers have dwindled a lot, especially year 2 releases. So MW3, it saw a decline compared to MW2, BO7 saw a decline from BO6, but the problem is when you compare MW3 versus BO7, which they were in the same exact boat, so MW3 came out, had much better content, they fixed all the issues and problems that we saw, it's still more than double and had more than double the hype and players on the game than we saw here with Black Ops 7. Now, taking a step back from Steam and taking a look at some of the other numbers that were provided, it says here daily active users have even remained low across all 3 platforms. So when you take a look at Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, you see that in December of 2024, it started off with 17 million on Xbox, 16 million on PlayStation, 4 million on PC. Then you go to November 2025, we only have 8 million on Xbox. Even if they're using Game Pass, that number should have been way higher because obviously Game Pass is now available. And then PlayStation is at 9 million, also pretty much almost cut in half. And then PC cut in half at 2 million with a total of 18 million compared to 36 million. So overall, people are just not playing Call of Duty right now. Now, within the article, they go on to say while Call of Duty will remain a revenue behemoth, because remember, Call of Duty still outsells all the other games. Even if there's a bad Call of Duty, their worst sales are going to be way better than a lot of these other titles. So when you talk about Call of Duty, you can really only compare Call of Duty with Call of Duty. But they said its vulnerability puts pressure on the rest of Microsoft's gaming division, which is already facing practically unattainable profit targets, says Elliott. Ultimately, the results of Black Ops 7 serve as a loud and clear mandate for change under Microsoft's stewardship. Whether this is just an off year for Call of Duty or the first chapter in the downfall of the industry, mainstay depends on what Xbox does next. And for those who are wondering why the game specifically is underperforming, it's due to a combination of community burnout. So the community's tired of begging Call of Duty to do things, and then by the time they change stuff, people have already moved on. People are playing Arc Raiders, Marvel Rivals, any other game, and by then they're like over it, right? Then there's also the questionable creative and business decisions by Activision and Microsoft. For example, like the marketing that we saw, the first way to reveal BO7 was they showed the campaign, and we all know the campaign is the worst aspect of BO7. If they showed off the multiplayer, they showed off the zombies first, then it probably would have excited people a lot more, but instead they saw like upside down cities and twisted freeways and things like that, and that's what sort of scared people away and caused Call of Duty the hate that it got. And sort of the timing of that trailer with Battlefield promoting and talking about how they have realism, the game is realistic, boots on the ground, and it's something every first-person shooter fan is gonna love. And then you got Call of Duty on the whole other side. They just dropped this crazy trailer with the weird and wacky stuff going on, so it's like that was just really bad timing on their end. Now then they go on to talk about, they said if Call of Duty really wants to save this, they may need to shift away from one-year cycles. They said the one-year cycle no longer works. It's time for once every 2-year Call of Duty with Warzone and seasonal content in between. Now, for example, say BO7 for 2 years, we'll have, instead of 6 seasons, we'll have 12, and then we jump onto a different Call of Duty title, maybe made by Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, and then we'll have that for 2 years, and then we'll move on. So not releasing every single year to get people to spend $70 every single year, and people get burnt out of that. And as you can see here with BO7, that's the case. In my opinion, I feel like Black Ops 7 is 100% better than BO6, and I feel like if BO7 was the game that released first and we got all that content first, Call of Duty would be in a really good place right now. And then also, when you take a look here, it looks like they're already cutting down prices of Black Ops 7. So if you check Best Buy, the BO7 Steelbook cross-gen bundle is now $39.99, $40. And then GameStop is also running a promotion to where you can also get the game now for $35. And it's pretty crazy. The game has only been out for like a month and they're already cutting the sales down in half. And I think the problem really lies with many players so fed up with Call of Duty, they don't want to give BO7 a chance, because most of us, I mean, if you're watching this video, you probably purchased BO7. You probably don't hate it as much as you did BO6, right? In my opinion, I think it's a really good game. It's very enjoyable. There's a lot that you can do, a lot of camos to grind, and there's so much that there's always something going on, right, with the game. And so a lot of, like, for example, my friends who didn't buy BO7 this time, they didn't want to give it a chance because they spent the money on BO6, and a month in, they were not very happy with the way the game was playing. They weren't happy with the lack of updates. And then when BO7 came around, they're like, I'm not dropping $70 just to play the game for a month again. So they didn't even give it a chance. And I think the free trial that comes out next week could maybe change some people's minds, because that's the whole reason why they're going to do that free trial this upcoming week. So we'll get more information on that, but that's pretty much all that I got for you guys here in today's video. What are your thoughts and opinions? Do you think that Call of Duty will bounce back from this? Do you think Modern Warfare 4 is what they need? Remember, next year they're going to be competing with Grand Theft Auto 6. Although they're like completely different genres, a lot of people are going to choose to spend their money on Grand Theft Auto instead of BO7. And the craziest part is they may be releasing within like a month of each other because they delayed Grand Theft Auto. So I'm curious to see what Call of Duty is going to do about that. Are they going to push up the release? Are they going to delay it and, you know, get out of the way for Grand Theft Auto? And what are they going to do? And especially the marketing. How are they going to market this game? But that is all that I got for you guys here in today's video. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully I'll be seeing you guys back on the channel again. Peace.